All right. Hello again, Cube lovers. Thanks for tuning in. So we are back with another Cube review panel today. My co-host today is the none other than Gwen Dekker, the admin, founder, brain daddy of Cube Cobra. Gwen, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. So uh, I always do this, especially since there's we've had an influx of some new viewers that may or may not have been here for the other times that you've been on. What's the like 60-second rundown of Gwen and Magic, or Gwen and Cube, however you want to address that? What's your story?
I've been playing Magic since Zendikar.
It's a good time
On
to
and
get in.
off, I kind of quit. Yeah, no, I remember I opened the Scalding Tarn in my pre-release and then traded for one of those Planeswalker cards. You know how it
Nice.
goes. Um, and yeah, at the end of college, I kind of quit playing because I was in college. And I started up Cube Cobra because I loved Cube, and it kind of took off. So here we are.
Amazing. Yeah, I vaguely remember when Cobra came out, because I was into Cube at that point, but not nearly as much now. And I remember like hearing about it probably on Sully Singleton or something like that, and was like, oh, I should check it out. And I mean, it's come a huge way since then, obviously, but even then, it was very clear how promising it was. So obviously, the community is very grateful for you and your team's ongoing hard work. So thanks for that. Um, so the irony is, again, for anyone who doesn't know, your cube was up, gosh, almost a year ago now, was it? It was on MTGO,
That
maybe a little less.
was like May.
Okay. So I mean, quarantine, right? Like that was 10 years ago now. Um, yeah. So your cube was up, which was really cool. I had a lot of fun playing it. A lot of people had a lot of fun playing it. And one of the results of that was, I think, a number of people, took either your article or your cube or both and ran with those ideas. They were inspired in some way by that, which is awesome. So I know basically two of the cubes tonight uh, referenced either you and your article or your cube or both in their kind of build process or their inspiration. So I figured what better way to review those than to do it when you were here. So that is what we're going to do. Um, Let me just. Hi, Sam. Thanks for joining us. So uh, there's one for anyone who would like to check out more of Gwen. I highly recommend following all those links. Click all the buttons, do all the follows, and then let me also.
Why do you lift my off the rails cube?
It was just one of the ones near the top of your profile, and I just thought it'd be fun.
Yeah, that
Terrible one.
sounds a bit it's a bit esoteric. I do want to
Yeah, it's a
proxy it
fun one.
up once, like we can do conventions again and
Right.
try it out.
Yeah, man. Um, yeah, count me in. All right, and then this is the cube that we are going to start with. So, um, the cube is alive. Let's go to the overview. So the short version of this is that they I would describe it as a fair cube. It's again was inspired by loosely inspired by your cube, and the way they described that was they said they were trying to avoid degenerate combos and archetypes while keeping the power level relatively high, which I think is a reasonably fair sort of you know quick rundown of your basic premise of cube building. Would you agree with that, or are we off base with that one?
No, yeah.
Cool. Um, all right. So for those who want to follow along, again, there's the link. There's the rundown. Um, let's take a quick peek through. So they support kind of the macro archetypes, um, including tempo. And
Yeah,
then they do
I
have,
gotta say, I love the effort they put into their cube description. Just like when
yes,
anyone does this, it really
makes all that hard work
look at
worth
the
it,
look
right?
as a whole. Yeah.
Yeah, especially whether you're going to do content creation or even if you just want to share this like on Reddit. If you're going to do that, I think I agree completely that putting in some effort to kind of nice up, and it's nothing like, it's nothing insane, right? Like they used the basic functions. They used titles, they embedded the cards, they linked, they linked certain cards while embedding others, um, which I think is fantastic. Yes, very nicely done on that. And I believe, if I remember correctly, the designer for this cube is ahead of us on time zones, so they're not going to be joining us in the chat tonight. But I think the other two that we're reviewing are, so that'll be exciting. So then for their micro archetypes, or what we would traditionally just call archetypes, it looks like they've got a handful. And kind of glancing at it, it seems like they're not too tied down to like spreadsheet stuff. They're not just doing one per guild and leaving it at that, which is great. Yeah, Ambrose, I
Yeah,
agree.
they mentioned they don't want to put too many. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Deck.
One thing I'd like to point out is they talk about how they don't want to put too many good stuff cards in the multicolor section,
Right.
which I think is an interesting decision. The multicolor section, those are going to be the signpost cards. So I presume if I see a black red card, it's going to be either stacks or aristocrats or cruel control.
Right. Right.
Or Jund, I guess. Not sure what.
Or Jund. Yep. Jund, the archetype.
Yeah, the black, green, red archetype is Jund.
That is, in fact,
That's it.
that is in fact the archetype of choice. If only we didn't know exactly what that means. So it looks like they do have some combo, but not they're not they're not too dense with like super crazy combo, infinite combos and whatnot. There's a couple though.
Yeah, the Mindsliver combo is actually quite weak in lower powered cubes just because it's so mana intensive.
Right.
And you can't really like cheat with the mana, and it's also like not as consistent. It scales much better like in vintage cubes where then you have access to degenerate artifact stuff like
Right.
Solarian Academy and Mishra's Workshop, where you can really just power out these dumb like mana rocks into an early Mind Saver and then
Yep.
go off from there.
Right. So doing it
The,
doing it in this environment is not going to be nearly as like degenerate or.
Yeah, I mean, from what I see right here, I imagine it's probably. I'd go as far to say it's even one of the weaker directions to go. Similar in my cube, like if you really want to make it viable, you have to have like the nuts. It's usually on the weaker side of things.
Yep.
Kikijiga combo, on the other hand, is
Yep.
quite good. You don't
Generally
need to
just
work very hard. Like you just play a control deck and you just have an instant speed win con.
Yep. Well, and it's generally just like, I mean, if you assemble the pieces, you just win, right? I mean, there's not really much to be done about it once you have all the pieces together.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's an interesting. And then it looks like we have some decent ramp targets. Pretty normal stuff there. Cool. Let's jump in the list here. Now, before we dig into this too much, I will just let, and we kind of already just touched on this, but the questions that the designer had in mind in particular were the manageability of combos. So I think we've kind of started on that. And if we notice anything else, we can jump into that some more. But kind of just looking for an overall review, overall impressions, if we have suggestions for something to add or replace, and then a test draft. So we'll definitely jump into a draft in just a moment. But if anyone else wants to draft along or jump into a draft now while you're watching, by all means, please do. So, nice, clean, pretty close to even spreadsheet numbers here, but not too bad, especially once you get down into, there are a few 3-color cards. And there's a little bit of asymmetry in the gold section, which is great. Nothing too surprising in the land section. And it looks like they've got the bike lands for the allied colors. And then, oh, interesting. It looks like the creature lands take over for that. Yeah, they've got all the fetches in and the shocks, and then they either have a bike land or a creature land, which is a super interesting choice because I think almost without exception, the enemy creature lands are generally the bad ones. I think maybe Quagmire is the only enemy one that I would really like look hard at running. Certainly not Fumarole or Needle Spires. Those are terrible. Shambling Vent, maybe if you have like
Yeah, that
lifelink.
is a weird choice, but I think it's purely because they don't have the cycling lands in those colors.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would love to run just basically all the cycling lands. I think if there were 10 of them, I would just jam them in my cube. And I
Yeah, so
think I run a couple of them.
they come into play tap though.
True.
Like actually, it actively really hurts because
Yep.
if you have too many of your fixing that just comes into play tapped, you're actually just nerfing decks that are trying to actively play things on turn 1 and 2.
Right. Right.
And so your fixing is actually skewed towards a subset of decks.
Right.
So that, like if you look at my cube right now, like almost every land comes into play untapped.
Sure.
There are a few lands that don't, but it's for like a specific reason.
Yep. Yeah, there certainly are. There certainly are either archetypes or color combos that can withstand at least one of those in the cycle, especially since they're fetchable. So that doesn't solve the turn one problem, but the fact that you can fetch them in turn one and be off to the races on turn two is not too bad. It depends on what the rest of your the speed of your cube looks like. They've got a pretty decent array of turn one plays. Although interestingly, not a single one drop in blue. And it seems like they are trying to support black aggro for sure. And then in green, it's really just all ramp and Hex Drinker. So they do have aggro through all of Mardu. So that's interesting. Also,
Yeah,
looks like they have. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's just like Dekker Q when it's on Moto.
Yep. Yep. They also have all the signets, which are listed right in the multicolor. So their multicolor section actually isn't quite as deep as I thought when I first looked at it. I mean, just because I don't view those as being like. I mean, obviously they're part of the color pairing, but I was thinking like 9 cards in the section is a lot for Dimir, but 3 are lands and 1's a signet, so you're really just looking at 5, which is probably fine. Pretty standard slew of them as well for Dimir.
Actually, this is a 384 card cube.
Yep.
What does it actually mean?
So
Are
that's
drafting with the entire pool.
Yeah. So if 384 is 3 packs of 16, which Ambrose brought up in the chat, that somewhere in the write up they mention either doing 3 packs of 16 or 4 packs of 12. Which just a couple weeks ago I was talking with Derek Allen about, and he does the same thing, and his reasoning was, I guess his playgroup had first turned him onto it. It means everybody gets something on the wheel. So that's a thought. It's actually something I'm curious to try, just because I've messed around a little bit with like pack sizes and stuff, but it is nice to think that everyone just gets one last wheel card, even if it maybe isn't going to be the best one. So yeah, 384 is a number I've recently learned for that reason.
And if that's the case, okay, he grouped the lands with the multicolor section.
Yep.
The 3 multicolored lands per guild,
and then a signet.
They have a couple rainbow lands like Ashburns, Fabled Passage. Literally a couple.
Yep. Field of Ruin. Just for 2 mana, you
Yeah, I
know.
guess you can count Field of Ruin.
Yeah, I mean, that's your floor, right? As you actually, I guess your floor is
I mean, the fetch is
it's colorless.
right. Yeah, the floor is it's just a waste.
Yep.
A waste that can
Oh,
be
wastes.
Field of Ruined.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, presumably in this cube, it's going to be rare that someone runs with literally all basic lands. I guess if you get like the nut red deck wins draft, maybe you would consider that. I don't know. So interestingly, also, I'm kind of looking at the Planeswalkers here, and I'm curious what your thought is. I think it's a pretty good selection. A lot of green. Um,
Let me go ahead and filter for walkers.
Yeah.
Okay, so this has definitely a lot more.
Yep.
They put Saheeli in the blue section. Which is interesting. I feel like
Oh yeah.
you can play like a red non-blue deck.
I wonder if
Play her,
that's
though.
almost more of an excuse though, because the other Saheeli is in the multicolor section. I mean, she's not hybrid, but still.
Well, yeah, you can't really do that, right?
Right. But I mean, I wonder if it was more just like, you know, they didn't want to overdo their multicolored section, so it's easier to just classify that blue. But I agree. I mean, I don't know. I don't see why you couldn't run it in a red deck. More burn oriented.
Liliana Death's Majesty and black.
Yep. There's a number of good black planeswalkers, but I think Lily is a respectable choice, especially if you've got any kind of reanimate package. And I mean, she does everything by herself, so it's not like you need to like crazy support her.
It's definitely relatively few planeswalkers.
Right.
Which is something I intentionally do in my cube because I just don't want all games to have display pattern of just trying to stick a planeswalker and just playing around it. I kind of like the more classical feel of
Yeah.
having to actually play things that you need to attack with, not just sit there and obtain value.
Play actual cards.
Yeah, so one thing I noticed is this cube has Skull Clamp.
It does.
This is wildly above power level compared to any other card I see here.
Okay. Yeah, do we have any of the other like really nutty stuff like like we don't have like Jite or what's the I wonder what the what am I doing? I wonder what the Elo band looks like on this.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. Skull Club isn't actually that high, but I guess that's part of the folly of Elo.
Well, I mean it's an evolving system, right? But I mean overall,
Yeah.
I like taking a look. It looks like they've got a pretty they've got a handful of outliers, but not a lot. Not too bad.
Yeah, I mean they have Upheaval, Fractured Identity. Yeah, those Skull Clamp's probably the strongest card I see.
Right.
Fractured Identity and Upheaval are close behind that.
They are quite good. They are quite good. But yeah, I agree. I'm kind of scanning through now, and I don't know that I see anything like quite as uncontested as that. But still a pretty high power band. Some really strong finishers in the Titans.
Yeah, a lot of good
Yawgmoth,
sixes for
there's
sure.
a Braid Stacks are both in here.
Maelstrom
Nez
Wonder, which is
Yeah.
a bit suspect, perhaps. Like this card really suffers from what it's trying to do.
Right.
Like, if you want to play 8 mana spell in cube, you need to ramp into it, or you need to cheat it out. If you
Yep.
cheat it out, You got a 7/5 haste. Congratulations. If you
Yeah,
ramp into it, you're cascading into 2 pieces of ramp. Congratulations.
right,
I
right.
love this card.
That's a
Like I
great
love
take
the
on it.
idea of just slamming this late game threat, getting 2 more dumb creatures, and then
Yeah,
attacking with all 3.
yeah.
That's
Like what's the nut there? You want
just
to
not how this
cascade
card works.
into like Hornet Queen and like prime time, right? Like that's what you think of when you draft it, or like Massacre Worm or something like that. Um,
Yeah, no, I mean, I can think of more busted combos than Hornet Queen and Prime Time. Maybe like Hornet Queen and not the big pig, but the 6 mana one, the giant.
oh yeah,
Earthshaker
yeah,
giant or something.
yeah, yeah,
And then you
yeah.
just one shot them.
I mean, even Big Pig would be fine. Although that's also an 8,
A
right?
big is 8.
Yeah, it's 8.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Well, still, I think that's actually a really tight analysis of the card, which is you're 100% right that to ramp into an 8 in a timely fashion, especially in a clamp cube, in this kind of cube where aggro is a real thing and there's a lot of real stuff going on, you're 1,000% right that the density of ramp you need to get there is going to be a huge problem, and then vice versa, like you said, Cascade is anathema to cheat. I will say there are a couple ways you can cheat it out and still get the trigger, but they're all significantly less reliable. It's things like Urza that will let you do that, but the likelihood that you can,
Yeah.
hit that is low. That's really a roll of the dice. So that's interesting, but you got to have something to chase, right?
Yeah, or I guess the other option is to play a control condition try to get to the late game, but then
Right.
you're going to cascade into 2 removal spells or 2 pieces of counter
Yeah.
magic.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the tricky thing with Cascade too, is if you're not able to build the deck in a way that you know what you're going to cascade into, or you have a reliable ability to cascade into nutty stuff. You're totally right.
Well, you want to cascade into value stuff, like
Right.
just generic stuff that's always going to be good. Like
Yep.
that's why
Like
4 mana
creatures.
cascade of Blood Red Elf is awesome because you can hit literally anything that does anything, and it's good.
Yeah. Well, and
Even if you hit Thoughtseize and they have 1 card in hand,
yeah.
it's still
Yep.
fine.
Well, in BBE, like again, that can go into your more mid-rangey Gruul deck. So your ramp density is going to be lower. Like, yeah, maybe you hit a ramp piece, but you're hitting it on turn 3 or 4. That's probably just fine, right? Because if you hit it on 4 and then play your land, you're at 6, and then you're playing your finisher. So I agree that you're right that big Cascade is, and I hadn't really thought of it from that lens before. Big Cascade is much worse than little mid-range Cascade. Um,
So combos with Skull Clamp, I have Bitter Blossom, which is
do they have
tough
it?
to
They do
beat.
have that in. Yep,
Yeah,
there it
Bitter
is.
Blossom.
There it is. Yep, 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 yep. Yeah,
Also,
that's gonna be brutal.
I have Lingering Souls. I have
You
2
do.
Elspeth that makes 1/1s. Saheeli.
So Healy makes one
Ophiomancer.
ones. Yep. Ophiomancer. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of good skull clamp nonsense in
Nissa,
here.
Voice of Zendikar. March of Multitudes is perhaps suspect as well.
Overall, or just as a skull clamp combo.
I think just overall it's
Yeah.
perhaps a bit suspect.
I've always thought that, but I've been smacked by that before. Now maybe not in quite this like style or power level of cube, but I've definitely had people crank that out bigger than I thought it would go and had it be a problem.
I mean, when it's good, it's good. It just
It's gonna fall flat sometimes. Yeah, do they have Legion's Landing?
yeah. I mean, it just seems so much worse than the one that just wipe X.
Secure the Wastes. Is that what you're thinking of? Or am I, that,
Yeah, it just seems so much worse than that. If you have a board,
yeah.
do you really need a
Yep.
bunch of lifelink creatures?
Right.
If you don't have a board, then it's more expensive, but
Right.
to get lifelink. And you can't just like jam it out on turn 3 for 2/1/1s against an aggro deck just to get a good block in.
Right.
Maybe they're trying to push the tokens thing. I don't see
Yep.
like intangible virtue.
Or what's that Boros one? Is that in here? Reinforcements is in. That's a pretty good.
Yeah, but that card's just like a good top end for a Boros deck.
Right. Right. Ambrose had a good catch that Legion's Landing is also in here, up in the white creature section. Just on the Skull Clamp.
Yeah, I just did a filter for O:/1 quote.
Nice.
So it catches anything with Oracle text that
right
would create an X1. And you do an or toughness equals
1.
Oh,
there you go.
To
nice.
cover all the creatures as well.
Yep, quite a lot. Deep Forest Hermit. Although those will come in as, or those will be 2/2s at first.
Yeah, but you can clamp the Hermit, and then
right,
you can
and then clamp. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And like you'll do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, there's quite a lot of. You're right that there's quite a lot of options in here to get you started.
Yeah, so that was one of their questions: is manageability of combos.
Right.
I think Skull Clamp is something I keep an eye out for.
Yep.
I've seen a lot of people even play like in Legacy Cubes. Legacy Cubes, and they ended up banning it to power because it's just unreasonable.
Yep, especially at colorless.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, especially being colorless. I mean, that always makes something more dangerous when it can run away like that.
Mm-hmm. They also seem to want to support Reanimator, because they have Recurring Nightmare.
Yep.
Whip of Erebos. They have Living Death, but then it kind of gets stretched in. They have Corpse Dance, and they have Entomb, but that's it. They have very, very few reanimation spells, but the ones that they have are very good.
Yeah.
Recurring Nightmare and I guess Corpse Dance I wouldn't say is like very good.
Yeah, but
so Reanimator seems to be
good.
In kind of a weird place. They said they support soft Reanimator.
Is that what they called it?
So I guess they're want to play more like a mid-range deck where you just happen to play these reanimation spells for value, not just a straight-up combo deck.
Right. Now,
which
does that match kind of your approach to Reanimator? Because I feel like I remember that, not the card specifically, but the premise of like, it's a mid-range deck with a package versus like you're gonna just turn to Gristlebrand like all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And I mean, Recurring Nightmare is good. I mean, it's obviously good.
Yeah.
But it shines really well in a board stall, and you're able to just churn value out of that card.
Right.
Game's over. It's not as good at powering out a quick degenerate threat because you both have to have a creature out and you have to discard a creature.
Right.
The real weird thing to me is that Entomb is in the list. Like, what's the idea with Entomb here? Like, the problem with this card is
interesting.
If you're not cheating something out turn 2 with it, like you just losing a card for no reason, or not for no reason.
Yeah.
But
well, it's a setup. So if you don't have a like the danger with any Entomb effect is if there's graveyard interaction, are they going to interact with your graveyard before you can cast the Reanimate spell? And the earlier that you Entomb,
those effects are pretty thin in Cube.
I mean, it depends on how much you hate on it. But that's a fair
Hey,
point. I mean, it's
I
not
don't
like
see
everyone's
any
running a bunch of relics of progenitus either. That's a fair point.
the scavenging ooze.
Scoos them out. Yep. That's probably the big one. I was trying to look too. I didn't see. I think it's a 5-drop. Yeah. There's a couple creatures that drop stuff in the yard, but I don't see any of that here. And then there's
Oswest Conqueror's Death, I guess.
as a way to put it in the
Not
yard.
really. Or
Oh,
no,
to interact. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
they did
honestly,
have Containment Priest. That feels aggressive.
you filter by graveyard. Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, I mean,
Pull
if
that
I
up.
got like one of the 3 reanimation spells in the cube and they hit me with Containment Priest, I'd be pretty salty.
Right.
Oh, and Tomb isn't just Reanimator, it's also Welder, I
Oh, okay.
guess.
Sure.
It also seems thin. Like, so, and Tomb is really good because if you play it turn 1 and then play Reanimation Spell turn 2,
Right.
then you basically win the game.
Yep.
But
Yep.
Faithless Looting is usually better in most decks because it accomplishes the same goal
Right.
while actually also digging you deeper.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Any good like loot or rummage effects are often a good way to get. And there
Charter
are some of
Course.
those. I mean, we've got we've got Emery and Jace VP and Faithless Looting. Um, there's a Charter Course I think is in here. I'm filtered right now.
Charter Course is in.
It is in. Um, so I wonder if maybe they're really looking for it
Oh,
to
they have
be
Lightning Axe.
hell yeah. Signpost card right there. It does it all.
I mean, I guess that's what you do with that card.
Yep. Yep. Well, but interestingly, they listed Reanimate as a Sultai, archetype or goal. So I wonder how often people are going to actually play red with that. Maybe those were originally in to support, like you said, Welder in particular. I always forget the name. I'll try to find it. There's a blue card that I like for the slower reanimate package. It was in Cultic Cube. I don't think it was in yours.
Careful Study.
Oh, Intuition. Intuition is it's a 3 mana instant. You search.
Yeah.
Now the opponent choice can be frustrating, but I always found that wasn't really a problem. Because you just dig up either, depending on what's in your hand, either 2 reanimate spells and a fatty, or vice versa, 2 fatties and a reanimate, or just 3 fatties, and then they have to put something in the yard. And that slower speed. Right. Yeah, you do Unburial Rites and Shieldred and Gristlebrand or something like that, and it's like, well, you can't. There's no winning way to handle this.
But they did not play. I mean, they don't play Intuition, so it doesn't matter.
Or you do two big creatures in a land, and that way you're going to hit your next land drop because they're going to give you the land. Right. But basically, as long as you have 2 targets in there, there's no way they can strip you of those. So it's just like they get to choose the less of one. Anyway, the reason I bring it up is I just in Cultic I felt like Reanimate had some troubles for the power and speed that it was in the Cultic Cube that went on MTGO. But the idea overall I think is solid. And if you're running it more as a mid-range value deck, I found stuff like Intuition that might have some other functionality, and again might support other things like Welder or whatever. Can be can be a way to support it without necessarily having to have Entomb, which is a more narrow card, right?
Mm-hmm. They don't want to have like good stuff cards in the multi-color section, but I'm staring at this prophetic bolt and this anguish on making, and if those are not good stuff cards, I don't know what are.
Right.
Oh, Zenith Electrolyze.
I
I
mean,
think they do a good job with their Orso section overall because they have Cruel Celebrant
yeah,
and Loris,
yeah,
which
yeah,
are certainly signpost cards.
right,
Then you get to their Izzet section, and they have Electrolyze, Heliorol, and Prophetic Bolt.
yep. And those are like
There's
super
no
generic.
signpost. I guess like Sahila is like you want to play with artifacts,
I mean, yeah,
but for one card out of your build section out, that's a very weak
yeah.
signal. If that's your goal.
That's the get this and the other Sahili and Skull Clamp and you're off to the races.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
that's
the
good.
signpost there. Now,
Did they play Copycat?
I don't see much. I
They
mean,
do
I know they
not.
have
They do not.
Phyrexian Metamorph, but that I don't think is. I think that's just a good card. I
No,
don't
no,
see
the
any other.
Sahili Rai combo where you have the cat
Oh no
and
no no no! Yeah, that's a good question. I
you
don't
do the
see it.
thing.
The archetype copycat
They
now.
they don't.
That's pretty degenerate too. I think right.
I mean, I think it's a inconsistent combo, so it's usually pretty thin. But
Right
like it gives your drafter something to do, like a puzzle to put together.
right right.
Like
Um,
I feel Sahili Rai, if you don't have the combo, feels a bit thin.
sure sure. Um, yeah, and in their overview, is it is listed as artifact reanimator. So maybe we need something more signposty in there. I'm not sure what the other than Sahili. I don't know what the signpost would be.
I mean, there's so many good meaty Izzet cards.
Right. Um, Demir is really pretty pretty good stuff as well. To be honest, like Baleful Strix isn't really a sign. It's just value. Thief of Sanity, Hostage Taker, Shinobi, Scarab God, like those all stand on
I
their own, right?
believe that their theme for Blue Black was steel,
Okay, so I mean,
which,
it matches.
which is
Yeah, Steel, you're
which
right.
is weird. Like
Yep.
usually when you say archetype, it's like there's a reason for putting these cards together. But if you're playing the archetype steel, I mean, your deck isn't better after you've stolen the second card from them.
Right.
Like you just play these cards in any blue back deck, and it's like, oh yeah, I can also take your dude. I can
Yeah.
Piece of Sanity, start taking your stuff.
Yep. Yep.
Doesn't really like scale with how much stuff you steal. So I don't know if I think of that as an archetype. I would more think of that as like this is a theme that blue black decks
Sure.
will steal your stuff.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, again, like I always think of, I think some archetypes can be looser where, like you said, it's more thematic. Like this is a thing that you can do in a blue black tempo or blue black mid range deck, versus like, you know, Kiki combo or Reanimator, where it's like you have a very specific, very like formulaic end goal of, entombing something and reanimating it, right? Which is that's the formula for Reanimator. You need something to put it in the yard. You need something to put in the yard, and then you need a way to get it back out, for cheap, right? That's like super formulaic, where, you're right. Like you can just run some removal and some good efficient threats, and then Midnight Reaper and a Fallen Shinobi, and it's just like you're just gonna got them.
They do lean into the artifact combo
Right.
pretty heavily, like a
Right.
Goblin Engineer, which is not a card you see a lot in Cube.
Yep. Yeah. True. Oh yeah, that's a artifact in Tomb, right? And then you can pop it back out. So you can
I believe they
get your
have
skull clamp
Emery.
for 1 mana.
Yeah, Emery's in the cube.
Yeah, Emery is in the cube. Yep. Someone asked in the chat. There she is. I enjoy Emery. I don't know how she plays in this kind of environment, but I think it's a fun card for sure. Um,
She's very medium in my cube.
sure.
But she's the kind of card that scales well with the power of the environment.
Okay. So it has more to do with the artifacts that are in there and the other enablers and sure.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. She fits your Merfolk tribal if you want to do that. Interesting. Well, I think that's a good rundown. Do you want to jump into a fun lock with Emery and Mindslaver for 1,000,000 mana? Would you like to? Should we do a draft, test draft?
Sure. Yep.
All right. So it does look like their default is the 16 card draft. So that's cool. We will jump in there.
You might want to share your screen with me, otherwise I'm gonna get a lot of latency on the picks.
Sure. Let me. Oh, nice. I'd hope if I didn't hang up on you either.
I was wondering about that.
No, that was just the way my screens are arranged. All right, let me send that over.
There we go.
Cool. And I'm gonna zoom it up a little to try and make it a little more legible for everyone.
That looks good.
Looks good? Cool. All right. Here we are, pack 1. And Gwen, I don't remember how much of the last one you caught, but once we get deeper into pack 2 and we're pushing into pack 3, especially the later picks, I tend to just kind of move through them faster because it's not like we're playing with this, and it's more about getting a feel for it. And I don't want everyone to have to sit through, pick number 43, us discussing it at length. Because once you're in an archetype, and most of the stuff's been taken, right? Nothing should be wheeling that much on pack 3 that matters. So, okay.
Well, on that note, this is not much of a discussion anyway, because we're just gonna take
Palace Jailer. Yeah, I was gonna say there's not much to say.
Because Skull Clamp isn't in this pack, so
right.
I think
I don't think anything compares to Palace Jailer in here.
It just by far the best card.
Yep. No, I would say an early Signet's nice too, but I agree that I would take Jailer over that. So let's grab that. Well,
now we just
get okay. So interesting discussion we're gonna have on this draft. Okay, well, since these are no-brainers, what's your pick after Skull Clamp if that's not in here? If the person drafting it knew to take that, what's your backup pick?
Quite a bit taking that early,
right?
Because you don't have to be too deep into blue to play it. Fire Confluence is also excellent, although it's one of those cards that scales with power level cube, so it's probably not as good in here as it is in Market Vintage Cube.
Right.
It still does it all.
We know there's a lot of X ones because there's a lot of Skull Clamp targets, but
I didn't actually check how many X ones. It might not be high ratio. I was just looking for the token makers.
Right. Okay. I like that.
But if we're looking at our Palace Jailer pick, there's not even that much that goes with it in that pack. So
right. But I agree that
Anointer of Champions. That card is real good.
Right. Okay. All right. I don't think this one is quite as...
The card second from the right is Anointer of Champions, right?
No, that's Luminarch Aspirant. 2 mana 1/1 puts a counter on a target.
Yeah, that's the card I was thinking of.
Okay.
I don't know why I thought that name. No, that card is excellent.
Yeah.
Luminarch Aspirant. Yeah. That card is very good. It goes well with the Palace Jailer. You can play like a
Right.
aggro or a mid-rangey white deck.
Right. Right. Um.
And what are you even passing up here? Like the Signet is decent.
Yep.
Sword might be decent. 21 Planeswalkers. There's a fair amount of artifacts.
Yeah. Well, and artifacts are a well-supported archetype, but they're not just incidental. So that might actually be like something you want to do. Is hit a walker and an artifact at the same time. Duretti and something else, whatever artifact they've got out. A Signet. Okay. I think
the Luminarch Aspirant is very, very strong.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on the Aspirant, but I do agree that a Signet, especially at this point, would be appealing. And I could see grabbing the sword, but we'll grab the Aspirant. I think that's the right move. J-Bro's 3B baby. Pretty good addition to what we're doing now.
I'm very happy taking Therian Sector here.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and I don't think
I mean, doesn't have any. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I would actually be. There's a number of good black cards here. I could see taking Freebooter or Arena just to have some double value, but why not keep cutting white, right?
Yeah, I do like the IOK. I like the Freebooter.
Yeah, Inquisition's always good too. And I don't remember, was Thought Season in the list? I don't recall.
Check.
Probably doesn't super matter.
It is not.
It's not. Okay. So that's probably as good as it's going to
I
get.
do have him to Torak, though.
Nice. So you think Thraben would be your pick here, though? Are you on Thraben?
Oh, yeah, easy Therian Sector.
Easy. Cool. Yep.
It just always overperforms.
Yep. Ooh, some nice removal. But I mean, we really could just keep cutting white and just either hope to play mono white or.
I'm taking. I like the Bitter Blossom here. We got the combo with the.
Oh, true. Yeah, with Clamp. Right.
With Clamp, it's also just an excellent. Like you're putting yourself in a real nice position for white black. Luminarch Aspirant plus Bitter Blossom has got to be good, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dismember's good though. Also like the Scavenger. Black looks open as well, so I'm happy taking the
We've seen a lot coming around. Yeah, I would branch into Bitter Blossom here.
No, it's
and then followed up with a Godless Shrine.
This draft is drafting itself here.
I mean, yeah. Oh damn, Containment Priest, Avacyn.
Ramaz is also
Unmaking
Skull Clamp, and also probably the best white 3.
Brimaz. Oh right, yep, makes 1/1s. Yeah, so we're in Orzhov's Skull Clamp.
What's that black card? It's a little
Remorse.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a deck. Oh, I do like Remorse. That'll be a nice wheel.
Yeah.
Remorse is probably like the best white 3.
Right. No, I'm with you on that. I would take that. Knight and Giant Killer are the only things directly on color. And I don't...
Giant Killer's decent.
Yeah. I mean, modal, right?
Both decent. It's kind of what you'd prefer. I do like Giant Killer in these sorts of decks.
Right. Well, and like at this point, I almost wonder if we're just splashing black for a couple of strong things like Bitter Blossom, you know?
Yeah. It's interesting. It's the priest, right?
Yeah.
That if we're like specifically trying to pick up tokens or the Skull Clamp, that's also another way to abuse the tokens.
Right. Yep. Is just sack them for.
What are we exactly giving up for it?
Nothing.
I think
Prowler, which we probably don't need. Flicker Wisp, which isn't.
I don't think we want Prowler.
I don't think
Flicker Wisp was good, but
it's good. I just think. I mean, I guess you could flicker your Palace Jailer,
yeah.
but
There you go.
but at the same time, like with Luminarch Aspirant, if we're putting counters on stuff, we're not going to want to flicker those, and if we have a lot of tokens, we're not going to flicker those. So like,
Yeah, I mean, Flicker Wisp is just like really.
it's just good value.
High utility, but
Yeah.
I don't think like we're giving up much.
No.
And taking the Speculative Priest, they did say Aristocrats is in Mardu.
Yep.
So by Black Hero, so it could be kind of that note.
Yep. Well, and
you see this
Cruel Celebrant wheeled around, so
yeah, so
yep.
Which is perfect for what we're trying to do, I guess.
I think so. So probably Wall or Titan on this one?
No, I think it's fine.
You think what's fine?
I think it's fine.
Oh, sure.
We just play for black, return up.
Right. Okay.
Creatures.
Okay. Sure.
If we have a lot of small dumb creatures, then
Yep.
Unearth is also
Unearth would play into that. Now, do you want that over Arena? I mean, I always think of that as like your own personal Howling Mine. It's pretty friggin' strong.
I'm personally not a big fan of Arena.
No. Okay.
Also, Phyrexian Arena.
Yeah. Yeah. Heyo. It like took me a hot second. I was like, "That's what I said." No, I'm sorry. That's.
No, I'm pretty low on Phyrexian Arena.
Okay.
I think Unearth is also pretty solid.
Oh no, I like Unearth.
I think we're going to be looking for cheap creatures.
Right. Well, here's Cutthroat. So.
There you go.
It looks like the Aristocrat, Skull Clamp, Bitter Blossom. How about a Dread Wanderer to go with that? You like 1-drops, right?
Yeah, there you go.
How's that for a Skull Clamp combo? Was it? Yeah, 4 mana. 4 mana, draw 2 every turn. Dread Wanderer and Skull Clamp.
You had me at draw 2 a turn. So.
Yeah, I thought so. Oh, okay, here we go. Late choice.
Actually, a decision.
This is actually a decision on pick 15. Shows what I know. I think. I mean, I think I would just go with Unmaking just because it's instant speed.
I think Unmaking slightly easier to cast.
Yeah. Well, we've picked up a lot more black cards, so we're not as white as we used to be.
Yeah,
I'm curious
instant speed, 3 life.
Anyone in chat want to throw a vote out there, sway us in a direction?
I'm leaning towards the Unmaking as well, which,
I agree.
Which feels wrong.
It feels wrong?
That's what my heart's telling me.
Just because you like
Council
Judgment?
Yeah, I mean, Council Judgment is the better card.
Yeah.
I think Anguish from Unmaking is better here.
I mean, I guess Judgment hits 2 permanents, right, in this environment? Is that right? I don't run this, so I'm not... I actually have to think about it.
It only hits 1. They just vote for the same thing you vote for.
Right.
Unless you play on Moto and they don't understand the interface.
Because it starts with you. It starts with you. I'm sorry. It starts with you. Yeah. Yeah, which will happen. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I'm with Cold Life. I would do the Unmaking for the instant speed. Who cares about 3 life? And then Knight of Autumn on the wheel. All right, pack 2. This is a really alarmingly good start to a draft.
Yeah, this is
like we're.
I would be expecting to 3 out here.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah. We're on the right track for that for sure.
Is decent.
Yep.
Isamaru is decent.
It's a good aggressive start.
Gideon's decent.
Gideon makes 2/2s.
Nothing's excellent.
I mean, Gideon can also just crank out 2/2s, and you won't be able to.
We can't clamp.
You won't be able to clamp them, but you can. You can get a lot of value off of Celebrant and Cutthroat when you just smash them into your opponent.
Yeah, so I think Aristocrats works best when you play it as an aggro deck and you
Right.
use these Blood Artist effects as a way to provide reach. Um, on that note, I like Isamaru the most, but I think we could probably wheel Isamaru.
White seems pretty open. We certainly cut it hard.
Yeah.
Um,
I also wouldn't dislike Stone Coil Serpent.
yeah. Play it for 0, get a trigger. Play it for
Well,
1 and clamp it.
it just fells your curve.
Yeah. No, Stone Coil is just it's whatever you need it to be, right? It's whatever you just put it in your curve where you need it, and then you might be able to clamp it. You might be able to use it as a sack outlet, like whatever you want. It's pretty versatile. I agree. I mean, I think if it was me, I probably would grab the Gideon.
Yeah,
I
I
get
would
just
take the Chupacabra or Gideon. I am pretty low on that Gideon, but I think
right.
it's fine.
Yeah, yeah. And then, like you said, I just think the chances of wheeling the Isamaru is pretty decent.
Yeah, I think we reveal Isamaru here and we're happy.
Yep. All right, I'm gonna grab the Gideon. We'll try that. Woo! Oh my god!
Lingering Souls,
Oh,
there's a
it's
Woe
so
Strider,
good.
there's a
There's everything.
Midnight Reaper.
Doomblade, Midnight Reaper,
Okay, so
even
this
the
is where you use our
champion. Even the
Agent of
champion is
Acquisitions.
another aggressive, uh, recurring X one.
That's a great
Like,
Aristocrats card.
yeah. Well, and you just keep, 3 mana, draw 2, just keep clamping it. And yeah, of course, Lingering Souls. I mean, holy shit. I honestly don't know what to take here. I would be stuck on this pack
It's
pretty
really
hard.
tough.
It's a lot of good stuff. So okay, so let's look at this. We don't have a lot of 3s, and one of the 3s is removal. We've already got a couple 1s, and one of them is a Dread Wanderer. I also think, again, I bet Blood Soaked could come around. Whereas, I think Lingering Souls is good in a lot of decks, and I think Midnight Reaper is good in a lot of decks. So the question is, do we need more tokens, or do we need
Reaper and Woe
more
Strider also can get
effects?
unearthed.
That's true. That's true. Unearthing your Midnight Reaper would feel real good. Just smash it into your opponent, unearth it, main 2. You get the trigger. You probably trade. It's a damn good card. I'm pretty high on Midnight Reaper
That's
overall.
tough. Even Doomblade is good because
Yeah.
we.
Oh, that's a fair
Tough.
point. Cold Life pointed out Midnight Reaper does have the non-token clause, which we're gonna have a few tokens in here.
Maybe just the one drop, like just looking from a scarcity point of view.
Yeah, there's not a lot of them.
If one drops are most scarce, then that's like there's 6 one drops in black. There's 8 in white.
Right. We also have a decent amount of draw. We've got Thraben Inspector, we've got Palace Jailer at the Monarch effect, and then we've got Skull Clamp. So we actually, ironically, have a decent number of ways to generate card advantage, which is normally, Midnight Reaper is the way that you get cards in black, because it's hopefully going to, I was going to say do an approximation of Phyrexian Arena, but you don't like that, so bad example. But like it's gonna get you cards, right? And we are actually already have ways to do that. So I think I'm with you on take the Blood Soaked, right?
It feels so wrong.
I know. Yep. No pick is gonna feel right because passing any of these is gonna feel ridiculous. Yeah, I'll grab.
Should have taken that Agent of Acquisitions earlier, so we could just take the pack.
Right. And then another one mana 2/1.
So another Grave Crawlers, but also Ophiomancer.
I don't think there's anything better than Ophiomancer in this pack.
So
only because we can't cast Hex Drinker.
Yeah, I would slam this.
Yeah.
This Hex Drinker.
Look behind him.
Big fan.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Big fan. Yep. Yeah, do you want a 6/6 snake or a permanent 1/1 snake is the question here, but we're in white black pretty heavily. Even Legion's Landing isn't terrible here, but I think just the overall value of
is pretty cool. If this pack wasn't completely stacked, I probably would have mentioned Yawgmoth.
Right. Right. Yep.
So what zombies do we have? Because
It's a great question.
Gravecrawler plus Skullclamp is sick if you have a zombie in play, but I think we're
Right.
light on zombies. I think we have 0 zombies.
We have one.
Oh, we have 1 zombie.
We have one for sure.
Great.
I don't think. Right. And nothing else like makes them. Yeah, it's just the Dread Wanderer, which in fairness is not that hard to bring back, but you're right. I think.
Yeah, well, let's just take with him answer.
Yep. Let's do the right thing.
That's great.
Can I interest you in a Shambling Vent? Or a... Jeez.
So this is, like I mentioned earlier when we were talking about these cards, this land comes into play tapped, and we're playing how many 1-drops exactly?
Right now?
A lot.
4? Yep, right. So Vent is going to be
I guess 4.
a tap land. 4 so far. I mean, things like Gravecrawler could still wheel, but yeah, I see your point. And that's not counting. We also have... I mean, I guess we don't want Clamp on 1, right? Nor Unearth.
No, we would play it out if we have.
If we have it.
Turn on play, it's
Right.
mana efficient.
Right. I just meant we're not
Legionnaires
desperate to
also
play the
good.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think you pick it, but like you're really sad it's not an isolated chapel.
Sure. Yep.
Even though that
Yep.
comes into play tap turn
Well, and
as well. But
this goes to
at
my
least-
point, which is, so for me, the thing about the bike lands that I like is, yeah, they come in tapped, but there is a utility to cycling them. Like they smooth out your draws later in the game. And there are times where you want one in the graveyard. I didn't particularly see anything in here that tells me that they desperately want lands in the graveyard, like, you know, none of that Crucible type stuff. But if you have Delve, even that could be a way, you know, to get one more card in the yard. So at least they have a utility with the creature lands. Like I said, literally we're playing the 5 worst, like Colonnade and oh crap, what's the blue-black one? The Esper ones are the best ones.
Yeah.
White, blue, and blue-black, and then I'm fine on Raging Ravine, the red-green one. But I really wouldn't play anything beyond that. And the only time I would consider Shambling Vent is if you really want a lot of lifelink. And that's only because this activates for 3 mana. So in your kind of mid-rangey deck where you have a reason that you want to gain life because of some kind of payoff or theme or whatever, you can just, you know, if you don't have anything else going on, you can throw this up on defense. Or you can just crack in, you know, against a bunch of 2/2s safely, and gain a couple of life. But I'm not huge on any of the creature lands that are in here.
I think this lane sucks enough that we just take the swords and we just take one of the best removal spells in the game.
Yep. I'm with you.
I definitely would rather take fixing here.
Yeah.
So it's Murderous Rider. Also, is that Ephemerate?
It is Ephemerate. And it's Mana
Tithe.
Tithe.
Ephemerate deck.
Mana Tithe.
I don't think we're a Mana Tithe deck. Well, we are Mana Tithe
We're
deck.
always a
Mana
Mana Tithe
Mana Tithe that we're Murderous. We're hater.
Every deck is a
Maybe
Mana
just
Tithe
like
deck.
Murderous Rider.
Yeah, I'll take it.
The Elswith is good, but
Or more specifically, Swift End.
I think we just play main deck Laris.
Sure. I haven't had a lot of play with this. I know it's quite powerful. I mean, a 3/2 lifelink for 3 is...
off Palace Jailer and Bramaz.
Right. Okay. Sure, I'll take
Main
Laris.
deck Laris seems good.
Yeah, I'm in for that.
Like it's done with Skull Clamp.
Right. Yeah, again, more of that recursion.
Interesting. Carrying Feeder.
Yep.
I hope this Gravecrawler wheels.
Right. Yeah, I don't think there's anything better here, right? We don't want the Elspeth.
Carrying Feeder is excellent.
I mean, it makes 1/1s, but I think we want to be more aggressive.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Interesting. Charming Prince?
I'm not a big fan of Drana.
Yeah, I'm not
I
either.
like Charming Prince, but I think I like Venerated Loxodon more in this deck.
Sure. Yeah, with the Convoke, got a lot of cheap creatures. You might power this out on 3. Suddenly have a 4/4 with some counters. Yeah, Drana, even in my creature cube, I thought this would just be like like crazy, right? Like you just keep swinging, and I don't know. It never felt good. Maybe it's the 2/3 stats. Hey, there it is. Isamaru. Oh, Isamaru and Chupacabra.
There's also.
Who's programming these bots? Who's passing a Chupacabra?
Well,
Cold Life. I think that's a fair point. Playing the creature lands over the horizon lands is an interesting choice, and perhaps it's a budget issue.
Lands.
They're not cheap.
I like Isamaru here. We picked up a few removal that I'm not too worried about.
The Chupacabra. Yeah.
Wow. I like to keep our curve low if we can.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Just take Lingering Souls, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, we still have the choice, but I think I agree.
I think what really edges it out is that we can companion Luris.
Right.
Lingering Souls, but not with the others.
Yeah, because what do we lose? Palace Jailer and Gideon?
Companion that card is not out of the question.
Right. Right. What if we CMC 2 or less? Right?
To companion it was Murderous Rider, Ophiomancer.
Oh, it's each permanent. Each permanent. Okay. Okay. So souls can go in. Just not.
We probably don't want to companion it.
I mean, it doesn't seem like it. We have a lot of good value. I still think souls is fine though. Just makes a bunch of 1/1s. Yeah. Anything with flashback is good. There's your crawler. Perfect. Came around. That's pretty straightforward. I guess history because it's on color, right? I mean, we're in these colors
in this type of deck.
Yeah, I think it's quite fine. All right, well, white's open.
We said we wouldn't agonize over this picks, right?
I really thought we wouldn't. Although I'm not sure I agonize over this.
I think it's Elspeth.
Yeah, because I mean, just more 1/1s, right? And we have like nothing at 4, so this is what I meant. Like these are, like we're not gonna play Mikaeos, right?
Mikaeos.
Yeah.
Probably not playing Cold, maybe either. Strip Mine, Thalia.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
What a pack. Wins. Skyclave I've heard a lot of good things about too. Maybe that's not in this deck.
Skyclave is very, very good.
I've heard good things about that. Even Figure fits our deck. It's a 1/1.
Okay, so there's this Thalia, Skyclave, Strip Mine. Winds of Wind is also hilarious because if you overload it, you just play Wind and then you attack and kill them.
Right. Yep.
This is tough. I think it's Thalia.
I think I agree.
It might be Strip Mine. Strip Mine's pretty messed up.
Strip Mine is pretty messed up. Crucible's not in here, right?
Crucible is not.
Yeah. Okay. So we're not doing Strip Mine Law. Just seeing that specifically Strip Mine, and then the other one that we just saw with the. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think
there is Rammy Nap, but I mean we're not playing it. But that just
no, that's. I just was curious if they had the lands in graveyard thing after all. And are you sure you don't want Pack Rat here?
I do not like Pack Rat.
No.
I just don't like the card.
Yep. Well, it certainly doesn't fit here anyway. I think I'm on Thalia as well.
Sure.
I think I'm with you on that. But you're right. That is quite a pick. Spectral. Kytheon. Even Fatal Push. Keep that nice low curve.
Boy. Top right next to Fatal Push.
Next to it, Selfless Spirit. Yeah, Selfless Spirit protects the board.
I like Selfless Spirit.
Now, even with this Aristocrat thing, I mean, we kind of want him to die, right? Is that just to keep...
You can have Selfless Spirit die whenever you want.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it lets you take a swing and then... Sure, I'll grab that. Him, Recurring Nightmare, Living Death. I mean, maybe the bots are just hot on Teamer today.
Yeah. I want to take him here, but it's kind of tragic that our mana can't really support like a turn 2
Right.
him, turn 3 Ramaz.
Right. Right.
But I think I'll still take it because
You'd still take it over the Vanguard? Because I think that's a pretty interesting...
we have 24 creatures. I don't think we're...
Right. Fair enough. That talks me into it. Another Thalia. Even the castle supports what we're doing.
I think we take the castles because we have so many playables, just increasing
Right.
number of
Draft a land is better.
are playing from the draft pool.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, I'm pretty okay with where our removal's at. Otherwise, I actually think Tribunal's quite good in our deck, as is Ballista, honestly.
Yeah, Tribunal, Ballista, and Thalia are all excellent.
You could almost
so
hate on
playables.
Ballista.
We get so much more value out of just taking the land.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. Yep.
This is not a condemned deck, unfortunately.
No, not so much.
What's next to Unexpectedly Absent?
Murderous Cut.
I think the best removal spell here is Heartless Act.
I agree with that.
And I think that's what we're taking.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because that's Henry's expertise. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Mother of Runes.
Yeah, Mother of Runes isn't bad here.
Yeah, Parallax is just too expensive for this deck. We're really playing an aggro deck, and we're using these Resurrects card as top end, plus Skull Clamp as reach.
Right.
That's how our deck is going to play out.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, Smokestack and Braids are cute, but
yeah,
I mean, Mother of Runes wins games.
It sure does. Yeah. I wouldn't grab anything other than... I mean, Finks maybe, but probably not. Interesting. I mean, I guess Fiend is a nice little hand attack. Although you're just going to give the card back when you clamp it. But you're also going to get 2 cards, so maybe that's fine. I don't know. Oh, I think Discord froze on us. It did. I'll also have to make a bunch of picks while Gwen reconnects. Surely I won't mess it up. Mesmeric Fiend's nice because you can sack it in response to the card's stealing effect and exile the card permanently. That's true. Yeah, we don't have a ton of sack outlets for that, actually. It's only a couple. Like the Priest.
Alright, I'm back.
Welcome back.
I don't know what happened there. Discord.
Oh, Discord's just a little buggy. Let me, there we go. Cool. And Mother of Runes protects it. That's true. D White, this designer is not, but I believe both the other designers for our next 2 cubes are in the chat or will be, hopefully. I know I saw one earlier, but they didn't play stuff.
Mesmeric Fiend is pretty easy.
Yeah. It does a nice approximation of a Kite Sail freebooter. There's nothing here.
Throwing up Excavator from the Stripmine player.
Right? Hate it.
Yeah, see this Skyclave Evaporation.
This pack just had too many good things. Spectral. Oh, I always forget that's not black-white hybrid. I mean, what else though? Cast down?
I would take the cast down.
Sure.
Yeah, I took cast
You
down.
can talk me into that.
I'm
There's
gonna
the
let the
Adanto.
Vanguard anyway.
Right. Keep up with the aggressive. Maybe the Thalia here
Jeez.
as a sideboard card. I mean, like, we might want to play it, but
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
wow. Okay.
But,
Cut?
I mean, we read the table, right?
I
That's
think
what
so.
happened.
Yep. Read the bots right. I appreciate you turning the bots towards Teamer for us so that this draft was so sweet.
No problem. Just make sure to message me what colors you want the next draft to
I,
go.
I
Okay.
appreciate it.
Turn them the other way.
Little benefit of
I think Angel is too expensive.
yeah, I mean, I just don't think we're gonna play Spear either,
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Like
I think we might play
I
Spear.
think
Like Anthem isn't the worst.
no, that's true. That's true. Maybe that would have been a fine card. But yeah, I don't think we need a sample hand to know how this deck's gonna play out. I'll say that. The hard thing's gonna be the
Yeah,
cuts, right? I mean,
building this deck is tough because you probably have like 20 cuts.
yeah. That's gonna be the name of the deck for me. All right. Well, the aggressive white black skull clamp deck is well supported. We learned that for sure.
Looks real good.
Yeah, it does look real good. I think one of the best things we did was open a Palace Jailer pack one pick one. That was one of our most brilliant moves for sure.
Yeah.
No, that was a great draft.
Followed up by the Skull Clamp was also a very, very strong decision.
Yeah. I mean, that was a straight up. Well, but I mean, like identifying, like, when that came around pack two, like you can't pass that. I think that was important. And you had, sorry, you had already identified, that was a card to watch out for, and we just lucked out into seeing it pick two, and like that was it for that deck. All right, I feel good about this cube. Any last thoughts for? I think we gave some good suggestions for things for the designer to consider. Is there anything you want to add before we hit number two?
Not much closing thoughts. The cube seems sweet.
Yep.
One thing is, when you're playing in a cube that drafts all cards, it does, in my opinion, reduce replayability to some degree, and
Sure.
also you need to keep in mind when you put a card in your cube, that card will see 100% of the time.
Right.
So if you put Skull Clamp in, for example, every time you draft, someone is going to have Skull Clamp, and
Yep.
they're probably going to build around it.
Yeah.
And their deck is probably going to be better than everyone else's, and that you lose a bit of variance in the format by having a small cube.
Right.
But some people like that. I 450 is like a sweet spot. My cube is 540, and I'm happy with that too.
It's huge.
I think three
No, that's a good number.
384 in this is
Yep.
It's a bit small.
I agree. I think both 450 and 540 are excellent sizes. I'll introduce a perspective I heard, and I'm not totally sold on it as the only way to do it, but I think you have to make a choice, and that is, again, Derek was on here a couple weeks ago, and we were chatting about his cubes, and he also runs 384, and he said one of the reasons that he was happy. Now, this has a lot to do with his play group too, so this is a big thing to consider, but one of the reasons he runs exactly 384 is, and this goes to what you just said, that every card ends up in a pile, in a pool. Now, at the same time, that means that you basically have a really good sense of how every card performs in your cube, meaning you know exactly how that card does in your environment because it's always getting drafted, and it does give you better overall data. So I think those are the two those are the only two arguments I've heard that would compel me to change my number, which is if you run exactly 360 or 384, you end up with really good sense of how every card plays, especially if you have a consistent play group who likes that or who's data driven. And then on the other hand, I agree that for me, 450 is like one of the best spots to be, because I do think it just increases your especially if you have a spiky card like skull clamp, because like you said, someone's always going to get it, and then they're probably going to build around it if they can. I mean, I guess if you get it pack 3, you're less able to build around it, but probably still able to do something with it. So it's interesting. Now, that the other thing too is if you are running small combos like Kiki Jiki, if you're running a huge cube, that can be frustrating as well because you may not be able to get into it. All right.